Hi, welcome to this video. That's about the settings build with ExpressJS. In this video, we'll work our way through this page here, where you have to create the ExpressJS server and to create the few routes that we ask here. There's some get route to display the home screen, a post route to add settings, action post route, where you will have to record either SMS or call, and then add that into a list. And then the other thing we're going to look at is how to show all the actions and also how to do a special route that takes a parameter, so a dynamic route. And then we also look into how to use external libraries into what you've done. So what I have so far is I started a project here and I have some tests running. Okay, so what I need to do is npx mocha. So I run my test. So as you can see, currently I have a factory function. So we go in here, I have a factory function that's called settings build. That have a few methods. I can set settings, get settings, record an action, see all the actions that was recorded, see one specific action, see the totals and whether I reach the warning level or not. So, and then I also have some mocha tests here that is testing this. So I assume that you will have your own factory function that you can take from the work you've done in the past and that you can just create your own factory function. What I have so far as well, I have a project that's configured, so I have a package.json file. So if we go in here, then you can see my package.json file. See, the only thing I currently have is mocha configured. There's a dev dependency, a development dependency, so I can actually run my mocha tests using npx mocha, and then my test run. So what we need to do now for us to create the ExpressJS app, the first thing we need to do is to install ExpressJS. So I'm going to start off by doing that, express -- save, and then I'm going to copy that, and then what I'm going to start with so long, I'm going to I have an index.js file already, there's nothing in there. So now I can just say const express require. So I'm going to set up express, then I'm going to say const app, then we're going to get an instance of express instantiated. So now we can do that, and then we can say app.listen, and then we're going to start it on port number 3011, and then we can say here, can do this. And then what I can do here is I can say console.log, and then I can say here app started. Okay, so once I've done that, let's see now if I can run this with nodemon. So I run this with nodemon. I run that. Okay, my app is up and running. So currently then, if I can go to localhost 311, tell me there's nothing there. So what we can do now is we can add a basic route. That will be a get route, default route / then we can say function. Then I can say my function is here. And then what we will do here is we will say res.send. We're going to say now settings build app. So I set that up. The important thing here is to do request response. So now if I go back, run settings build app. So now I've got a very basic ExpressJS app running with one route, and it's sending data into sending a message back. So what I just want to do here is I want to actually make this my port number variable. So what I want to do here is I want to create a constant called port, and then I want to process .env.port, and this by default I want to say 3011. So what I've done here now is I've made my port number configurable. The port number on which the application starts I can now change using environment variable. So what I can do, for example, now I can change that without changing the code, the port number. So I can say export port equal 3012. So if I do that and I run my app, We go back in, we go to 2011, you see there's nothing now at 3011. So if I go there, the app is running in 3012. That's useful later when you deploy your app to Roku. So Roku wants to specify their own port number. We need to make the port number configurable. What we can also do now is we can put port number here, the port number, and then we can say app started at port. Okay, so now we can do something like that. We refresh that, and now if our app is running, here we'll see app started at port 3012. So now what I can do is I can unset port. So now port number is no longer set. Run my app again. So now my app is running on port 311 again, which is the default. So now the other things we need to do to get an app up and running is to set up our routes. So let's quickly go and just set up the basic routes that we need. So let's see what they are. So if we go back to our app here, we need a default route we already created. We need a settings route that is a post. So what we're going to do here is app.post, and then I have a settings route which is going to be function, and then we say request response, and then we do that. So now we have a post route. So what I'm going to do, the other routes we need is an action and actions route. The action route is a post as well. So I'm going to copy this one, and then I'm just going to say I'm going to have an action route, and then we're going to have another route that's called actions. We're going to display all our routes. Actions. This one is going to be a get route. This one is a post route. I know these spaces all that I've put in here, so that's one there. The last one we're going to be doing is going to be a get route. That's a dynamic route that will help us to display call or SMS. So here I'm going to specify type. That's a get route. We'll go into a bit more dynamic routes later. So now we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 routes. Go back here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 routes. So now we have everything. So now we can kind of start with our app. So one thing you'll note that I'm giving you a starter link here in this project. So in this Learn Express project, giving you a basic starting project of how to get going. So in there's an index.html file that we can use for our app, and there's some CSS to use over here to get things going. So one thing I note is the general mistake people do is to keep this index.html file in the public folder when they create the app, and that causes a lot of kind of weird things if you have index.html file in there. So what I want to do now, we need to set up a few folders. So in here I need to create a new folder which I'm going to call public, and then what we need to do is we're also going to need to create a folder which is called views, and in the views, that folder needs to be in the root project. Okay, move. So views, that's where we're going to put a handlebars views, and inside the views folder we need to create a new folder that we're going to call layouts. Okay, so we're going to need that for our handlebars, and then what I want to do now is I want to get the sample code that I've given you. So let's just go here, say learn express. Okay, so what I want to do now is I want to quickly go to this repo here. So that I have here, I want to say git clone. We want to get that data cd learn express, and then I want to open that, because what I want to do is open dot. So now I have ExpressJS here. So what I need is I need the CSS here. So I need these files. So let's see if I can copy the CSS folder. I want to put it inside of my public folder. Seemingly I can't do that, so let me just go here, Control C. I'm going to go here, public, new folder, CSS. Then I'm going to say V. Gonna say here open reveal in Finder. I'm gonna say Control V. So now I've got some CSS files in here, okay? And then what I also need is I need to copy this file. Where is our file? This is, okay, I'm in the wrong folder here now. So I need to go to, I don't have everything here now. Then we go back here, open dot, so ExpressJS. So what I also need, I want this index.html file. I want to copy that into my Express project. I want to now paste it into this folder. Oh, man, I'm having the same problem here all the time. So I'm going to go here to, let's go back to settings bill. Where's our settings bill? Settings bill. Okay, it's easier to go from here. So ExpressJS, I'm going to stop this one. Open dot. I'm going to go here, settings bill, in our views folder. I'm going to paste index. We'll work with it now. So now I've got all the files that was given to us inside of this project. So what I want to do now is I want to rename index.html to handlebars. Okay, index.handlebars, because that's what we want to do. So now what I want to do is in my default file, instead of saying res.send, I want to do res.render. So now if I go here, I'm going to say index. Okay, I do that. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run nodemon. So now I'm going to go back to our port 311. Okay, so now I'm getting this. Okay, so now I'm getting this error to say that I've got no view engine specified or configured, because I'm trying to use res.render. For me to use res.render, I first need to configure a view engine for ExpressJS. And if you go back to learn the project codex.co, you will see that there is some setup we need to do. So remember, it was extending ExpressJS. So going back to this. So what we need to do, we need to install Express Handlebars, and while we're at it, we can might as well just set up the body-parser to get forms to work. So we're going to do that, save Express Handlebars. We're going to go in here. We're going to install the body-parser while this is done. So this is up and running. We're going to do that. That's up and running. So now we have two modules here. So what we want to do now is we want to go to the next module. So we want to go into this, and then we say extending. So now set up handlebars. For us to set up handlebars, what we need to do is we need to create a view folder, what we've done, layouts. So I need to reference this in my project now. So I'm going to copy this into my index.js file. Then what we're going to be doing is we are going to need to configure Express as middleware. So now we go here, app.engine handlebars. So now we put this in there. After I've instantiated my app, I mean, I might as well do, no, I'll do it here. Okay, do that, and then we do that. So now let's see what happens. We refresh. Okay, nothing happened because I stopped it. Okay, start it up again. Okay, so now we refresh. Okay, so now it's telling me no such file or directory. Okay, so it's missing in views, it's missing layouts, main.handlebars. So I already have a layouts folder. So what I want to do now is I want to put this. So if I go back to here, I've got layouts. Okay, so I need to create a new file here, Control V, which I'm going to call main.handlebars. And then here we're going to need to say something like this, body. Okay, so this is a basic layout now. So let's see now what's happening. Control R. Okay, so we have some files now, so that's great. But currently it's not configured, so it's not styled or anything. That is because, so if you will go in here, Control Shift I, you will see this file. It's referencing some HTML and CSS, which it can't find. Okay, so what we do want to do is we want to now add this public folder, make it visible when I'm running my ExpressJS server. So what I can do for that, I need to add some middleware app.use, and then I need to say app express.static, and that's some built-in middleware in Express, and then I say public. Okay, so that should make our public folder visible to the outside world. Immediately it looks different, because now it can see the middleware. Using that middleware, it can see the CSS. So I can now go here and I say CSS, and then I can go, what did I call my CSS? CSS public style.css. So I can go to style.css. You'll see that it can now see my CSS. So now we basically have our first root up and running. So while we're at it, I think there's some errors that it's giving us. Control-Shift-I. There's also loads of other files it can't find. Okay, that is because in our index.handlebars file, there's some JavaScript files we're not using. Okay, down here, I'm going to remove all of these because these are things we don't need now anymore. For now, we're not going to do any client-side JavaScript. So let's just refresh that. No errors. Okay, so now we have a basic root up and running. So what we need to do next, we need to look at some of our other roots. So what we need to do now is we need to work on the root that's setting the settings. So what we want to be able to add some values here. And then ultimately when I'm clicking on this update settings root, you need to send that data to the server. And when we are using ExpressJS or web applications in general, we're using HTML forms. Currently you see when you press on this button, nothing happens. So what I need to do in my HTML is I need to wrap that in a form. So what I will do for now is I will take that code, my settings code, I'm going to put that inside of a form tag. So form tag like that, and then my root is called settings, and the method is a post. So you get like a HTML form, and then you get a HTTP post, HTTP get. So we are using a HTTP post to send data to the server. So what we want to do now, so now we do this. So now we go here, we refresh, and now click on this. Okay, so what's happening now? Our root isn't doing anything. Okay, let's see, call cost, SMS cost. Okay, index.handlebars. So let's see what's happening now. So in index.handlebars we have this. We refresh this. Let's see now whether it got our new form. So if we open it up, indexed here, so we have form action settings. Okay, so the thing to watch out for our button is not currently working, because currently our button type is a button. We want our button type to be a submit for our form to work. So if I go refresh here now, it goes in here, submit settings. See, now it's sitting there, it's not doing anything because it's hitting our root. So that we added earlier, but the root is not doing anything. So what I can do for now is if I remove this, okay, remove the settings root, and I were to refresh, okay, if I were to do this, I click on this, you see that it now wants to submit the settings to the settings post root. It doesn't find it. So if I put it back, it will find it, but currently you can see our root is empty, and nothing will happen. It will just sit there. Okay. So what we want to do now is we want to capture these values. So we need to make sure in our HTML form that each of these got a proper name. So I need to give each input field a decent name. So what I want to do now is I want to give each input a name. So I'm going to call, the first one is call cost. The second one name is SMS cost. The second one here name is, this one is warning level, and the next one is critical level. Okay, so now I have 4 fields that I can actually send to my server. And what we can do now is let's work on our root a little bit to see what's happening here. So what we can do for now is when we submit to a root, the field names we're submitting to a root will be available in the body request.body object. Okay, so what we can do now is console.log request.body. And then what I will do for now is I will just rest.redirect. What I will do for now is we will just redirect back to our default root. So we will kind of redirect, we'll just execute back to this root, and let's see what's in our body after we submit it. If I do this now, I put a call cost of 4, SMS of 2, critical level of 20, and a warning level of 20, critical level of 40, critical, update settings. You'll see it flashes and it re-renders the screen. So what it's currently saying is request.body is undefined. Now the reason that's undefined is because we haven't set up any middleware for the body parser. So what we do need to do, and go back to our settings and see here how to handle post routes. So what we need to do is to add this. So we need to add this block of code here to set up the body parser. So what we need to do now is we need to go up here. We want to do this first. Now I want to say body parser. So we're ready. Okay, I haven't required it yet. Remember we installed it earlier. So now we want to say body parser equal require. We already installed it earlier. Body parser. So now I do that. I save that. Go back to my app. Let's see what's happening now. So now I say the call cost is 4, 2, warning is 20, and let's make that 30. So now we update the settings and let's see. See, now the values were sent to the server. Okay, so what we can do now is we can now start to save our values inside of our factory function that I already created. So I've already created a factory function earlier. So my factory function is called settings bill, and settings bill have a set settings function, so we can actually send that in. So let's get our factory function up and running and send values into it. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to come up here. I'm going to require, I'm going to say const. I'm going to say settings bill. Okay, bill. And I'm going to require that. And then I am going to say settings bill. Okay, so I've got that up and running. So now I need to create the instance, so that's a require. So now I'm going to say const settings bill. Okay, Control Z, I want that lowercase, equal settings bill. Okay, instantiated a copy. There we go. So what I want to do now in my root is I want to say settings bill dot set my settings. Okay, see, we know what that method is doing. It's kind of clear. Okay, so what we can do now is we can say call cost. Call cost is equal to request.body dot call cost. We want to say SMS cost is equal to request.body dot SMS cost. And then what we also want to say is warning level is equal to request.body dot warning level. And then we want to do a similar thing for critical. So I'm going to go Control D. And then we want to say critical level. Okay, something went wrong here. Critical level. Escape. It's a bit of a thing here. Critical level request.body dot critical level. So we can do that. just to make sure everything is actually been saved inside of the factory function, let's ask the factory function for the values that it has for settings. So now I say settings bill dot get settings. Okay, so let's see what it has inside of it after we do this. So now we go here, we say Control R, then what we do, we say 3, 5, 10, 20, update the settings. Let's see. So you can see now that all the values has been set inside of the factory function. You can see that the values are in there. So what we need to do now is, one thing you'll notice that these values are not being displayed back onto the screen. So what we can do now is, this redirect is really helpful here, but what we can do now is we can, when we render, we can actually send data back to the screen and then re-render that back. So what I can do is I can say settings bill, because my settings bill is a global, settings bill dot get settings. So I can do that, and now I'm just going to make that a bit clearer. Okay, so what I can do now is I can go to my index template and I can render the data back, because I'm sending the settings object back into my object. And what I can do here now, just give this more space, I can now say I can have a value attribute here, and I can say value. The value in this case is going to be settings dot call cost, and here the value is going to be settings dot SMS cost. Okay, and I'm setting the value, because this is a Handlebars template, so I'm setting the values in there. So for this one, what I'm going to say, I'm going to do the same thing. I can say value equal settings dot warning level, and for the last one is critical level. So I'm going to say, copy that, I'm going to say value here is equal to settings dot critical level. So now what will happen if I enter the values? Okay, let's just refresh here quickly. So if I now put in 15, oh, that's too high. Okay, let's make it 3, 2, 20, and 30. If you press this button now, the value should stay on the screen. Let's see. Okay, cool. Okay, you see that the data traveled now into our post route, back into our factory function, we redirected to our home route, and then the value is still there. So I can update that now to 385 potentially, update settings. Oh, there's a problem here. So let's see if I make this 5. Okay, update the settings. See, now 5 is staying there. So that's basically how we keep the values on the screen, by sending it back, sending it into the render method as a parameter, and then we need to change our template to display it back onto the screen. So yeah, so now we've done quite a bit. So we set up our project now, our ExpressJS project. We installed all the necessary middleware. We configured a view engine, and our settings part of the screen, the right hand side, seems to be working quite well now. So we've covered a lot in this video. So hopefully that makes sense, and I help you to get a better understanding of how to set up an ExpressJS project, and how to use forms, and how to configure views and things like that.